Okay, amortization tables, page 72. Instead of starting with a full-blown, completely having to fill in the entire thing, we're gonna go to one that is partially filled in. Because I will be honest, most of the time the province has partially filled in tables. So let's go to page 73 for instance. So we're gonna do the full on in a bit, but page 73 has a partially filled in table. Okay, couple things about a amortization table. It breaks down your payment and it lets you know how much you owe at any given time. Okay, the monthly payment, once you figure it out, should stay the same. Okay, what should happen to the interest as the months or the payments go by? It should slowly be going down. That's something that you're going to be looking for. And the principal portion should slowly increase. Right? And what should be happening to the unpaid balance? How much you owe them? Well, it should go down if everything goes well. So that's some of the things that you can look for. At the top of this chart, I'm just going to try something new here. I will just remind you that a new pencil for Christmas. Okay. I would just remind you that the payment is always equal to interest plus the principal. Okay. This is a classic equation that you should already know. Sometimes I go P and I, P, it doesn't matter. But payment is always interest plus principal. Okay? So if you know this concept, you should know that, hey, this number is supposed to add up to whatever these two cells are. Okay? Therefore, if I know my payment, I'm just going to go 1200 minus 920 and fill that in. Oh, I'm off here. Sorry, guys. Should have had my key ready, but I moved stuff around, so it's not going to be the same as yours. There you go. That would be $280. $280. Okay, so always remember that. And let's check, just so you understand how a table works. Technically, the principal is what goes towards knocking this down. So technically, you should be able to go this number minus 280 to get to the next amount. Why is that not happening? That's not good. I made a mistake there. Oh no, I'm good. Sorry. I'm good. This is good. But if you wanted to now figure out the next row, you're missing interest and principal. You then have to resort to these two numbers. There's something that happened from here to there. Something happened, and what happened is you subtracted this principal from the top number to get there. So to get the principal, right, you will simply go subtract these two. I'm not going to put P equals because it's not going to fit. I'm just going to go 191,720 minus 191,438.66. So you essentially are subtracting these two numbers. And when you do that, you get 281.34, which makes sense because the principal should slowly increase. Okay? And now in turn, you can go over to here and say, hey, if I have the principal and the payment, I just take my payment, subtract the principal from it, and then I have the interest portion, which is 798 88. Okay. 798.88. And it is going down. The interest is going down slowly. Is that right? Sorry. Sorry, guys. I looked at the wrong page. It didn't make sense. I'm like 927, 898. That doesn't. That's way too big of a jump. Let's try again here. 918.66. My bad. Hopefully, didn't use a pencil here. Okay, so I used these two numbers. I used these two numbers here. Okay, I subtracted those two to come up with the principal, and then I subtracted the principal from the payment to get this, because remember, these two always add up to the payment. Then the third row, you have the monthly payment, you have the principal. Why don't we find the interest here again? We go 1,200 minus 284.04. Okay, and that would be 915.96. And it makes sense. It drops. The interest keeps dropping because you owe less every time you make a payment. And then over here, you would simply subtract 284.04 from the previous amount owing, the unpaid balance, to get your new unpaid balance. Right? So this, if you want to go arrow, okay, I put this number in there, and I get 191, 154.62. So that's how you kind of fill in a partially filled in table. All you need to do is add or subtract as needed. Okay. So if one of these ever had the missing payment cell, like if the cell here was missing, you would simply add these two, right? Because you know interest and principal make up your payment. The reason I didn't leave it blank is because once I give you the payment, it stays the same. So technically, in this case, it wouldn't be a big challenge to come up with a payment, right? All right. If I were to ask you, what was the original mortgage amount? The point here would be to add the principal to this to get back to some sort of original unpaid balance. Because remember, whatever that number up here was, we subtracted 280 from it to get our unpaid balance after that first month. So we go 191,720 plus 280. And so that's 192,000 is the original amount that was owed, the original mortgage. What's the interest rate for this mortgage? You don't need to know how to do that. But if you're interested in doing that, that's 5.75%. That would be like a bonus or something. I will say this though, use I is equal to unpaid times interest rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12. I use this formula to figure that out. And so I go back to my table and I plug in what I do know, and then I do some algebra to figure out the interest rate. I will say bonus. Okay, so you're not, I don't want you to like get stuck on this one and be like, oh, I'm not going to be prepared for the test. Like, no, this is like above and beyond. Okay. The last one, I would really want you to be able to answer this one. Determine the total interest paid. Do you remember total interest? It would be payment, right, times 12 months, because it's always monthly, times years. No, I didn't give you the years. Anyways, but this would be minus mortgage. I will do some assumptions here. Assume a 25-year mortgage. We're going to make that assumption here. What's our payment? We know from the table it's $1,200 times 12 months times 25 years. We subtract what is our original mortgage. We figured it out in B. It's $192,000. So I need you to understand that this first chunk here is always what you paid the bank, and you subtract what you borrowed to begin with. So that is $360,000 minus $192,000. That's $168,000. That's how much you paid in interest. So the next part, I'm going to do a full on. I'm just going to do the first row and hope that that's going to be enough to refresh your memory. And your homework is going to be to do to complete that one. That's all that I'm going to ask you to do. So let's go to 72. Fill in the monthly payment chart for a house valued at $185,000 with a down payment of $25,000, interest rate of 6% over 25 years. So first we need to figure out the payment. The payment is the price of the house, okay, price minus down, times table rate over 1,000. So it's $185,000. There is a down payment. Sometimes there is no down payment, so this would just be 0. The table rate, I would ask you to have this pink normally. Right now, just follow along. Right, so we need 6% over 25 years to get that table rate. So 25 years, 6%, we're at 640. Okay, 640 is our table rate. 640 per $1,000 of loan. Subtracting this gives you $160,000. Okay, that's the mortgage, the original loan. So we go 160 times 640 divided by 1,000, or if you'd like to go 640 divided by 1,000 first, then multiply it by 160,000. That gives you a payment of $1,024. Where does this payment go? You guessed it. It goes into the monthly payment. So every single cell from now on is going to be $1,024 when it comes to the payment. Anybody remember how to do the interest? Interest, if you have to calculate it from scratch, there's nothing else filled in here. You have to go mortgage times interest rate divided by 100, all of that divided by 12. So what is your unpaid balance at the very beginning? It's $160,000. How much is your equity, by the way, at the very beginning? Do you remember what equity is? What do you own? What part of the house do you own? And in this case, you put down $25,000. So this is your down equity right now. So remember, your house was worth $185,000. you own $25,000 of it, the bank owns $160,000 of it at the very beginning. So how do you do this part? We take $160,000. We multiply it by 0.06 because that's 6 divided by 100. Then you divide everything by 12. And that would be $800 exactly. And now that you figured that out, it's all plus or minus for the rest of this row. So 1,024 minus 800, that gets you $224 in interest. Sorry, as a principal. We subtract 224 to come up with our new unpaid balance. That's 159,776. What's going to happen with the 224 when it comes to the equity side? Guess what? You own a little bit more of it now. $224 to be specific. 25,224 is the new equity. Okay. I'm going to tell you this. This equity column I will not have on a test, and it will not be on an exam. But I need you to understand that that's what's happening. Your equity, as months go by, is getting bigger and bigger because you own more and more of it as time goes by. So your homework is to fill in the rest, and I will post the answer key to this. You know what? I'll just give you the answer here. This very last cell, write this down. Sorry, it's 159,324,63. That's going to be the answer key. That's what's supposed to go in there. Equity, I don't really care about that much, but I will give you the number anyways. So that's your key there. And just be ready for those every once in a while.